Let's talk a little bit more about International Women's Day. Why does it exist? I'm not really sure. I haven't studied the origin of it. How do we celebrate it? Well, people celebrate it in different ways. In Bogota, Colombia, many years back, about 15 years ago, I was handed a rose by someone on the street. Happy Women's International Day. I was surprised. I didn't even know the day existed, but I accepted and I thought, that's lovely. That's nice. Whatever. I'm a woman. Other people celebrate it other ways. And in this day and age, here we are in 2024, when anyone can be a woman, when many people can't answer the question, what is a woman? And so we are left with International Women's Day honoring just about anyone you want. So what is the point? What is the point? We'll get into it with a description from Lady Gaga. She's very upset about the backlash to her post with Dylan Mulvaney. And I'll ask the question about another woman, Kate Middleton, and why people are so obsessed with this altered photo and the fact that she has not presented herself to the public lately. That's all coming up.
Welcome to the Michele Tafoya podcast.
So Lady Gaga, who is really a wonderful artist, has proven to be a good actress and a tremendous entertainer, posted something on International Women's Day. And we're going to show it to you here. She posted herself in a sort of photo op video thingy with Dylan Mulvaney, a biological male who has declared himself a woman. Don't ever forget the time when Dylan Mulvaney got chosen to go speak to President Joe Biden. And in the days leading up to it, Dylan Mulvaney posted videos of how should I get dressed for this? What should I wear? And really acted like a cartoon character of a woman, it was like a caricature. And so it was really overt and it was strange. But so what, right? And then Dylan Mulvaney goes and sits with the president and says, I have now been a woman for X number of months. And the president says, God bless you.
Mr. President, this is my 221st day of publicly transitioning.
God love you.
Thank you.
Like, this is great news. Okay, fine. I don't have any problem with any of this. Then Bud Light hires Dylan Mulvaney to sit with a bunch of Bud Lights and be one of their kind of endorsement folks. We saw that backlash in a big way. People just stopped buying Bud Light and their sales went through the floor. And they lost billions of dollars. And the person whose idea it was to use Dylan Mulvaney was let go, released, or walked away somehow, was separated from Anheuser-Busch. And that was kind of, then Dylan Mulvaney sort of disappeared for a while. I mean, you had to really look to find Dylan anywhere. And now on International Women's Day 2024, Lady Gaga decides that Dylan Mulvaney is the woman to be celebrated. A biological man who dresses as a woman, identifies as a woman, fine. Live your life, Dylan. I've always said that. I have no hatred for Dylan Mulvaney. I don't have hatred about this issue at all. What I'm confused by is why women who were once a marginalized class are now not being celebrated on Women's International Women's Day or Women's History Month, but now we're focusing we're focusing on trans women, biological males who present or identify as women. Why is this such a hyper-focused idea? Such that a star at the level of Lady Gaga decides to celebrate International Women's Day, not with a picture of her and her mother or a good friend or another artist, but with Dylan Mulvaney. She clearly was trying to make a statement. When you make that statement, you can expect that people may disagree with you, or that people will make statements back at you, which they did in droves. I did not appreciate this. I think for all the amazing women on planet Earth, biological women with the chromosomes of a female who go through so much to achieve what they achieve, who have to overcome so many hormonal issues and all the rest. I've said it before. Let's ask Dylan what it's like when she has her period, because she doesn't. And that's why, again, I think Tampax actually had an agreement with Dylan. Why? Think about that. Think about it. Why? All right, getting back to Lady Gaga. There was significant backlash on X and probably other places. So Lady Gaga decided to write a response. And I'm going to read it to you. She writes, "It's appalling to me that a post about National Women's Day, or International Women's Day, by Dylan Mulvaney and me would be met with such vitriol and hatred. When I see a newspaper reporting on hatred, but calling it quote unquote backlash, I feel it's important to clarify that hatred is hatred. And this kind of hatred is violence." Okay, I'm going to do a quick fact check here, okay? Because that's not my understanding of the word violence. So I'm going to look up right as I talk to you. I didn't prepare to do this. The word violence. Behavior or treatment in which physical force is exerted for the purpose of causing damage or injury. Intense force or great power, as in natural phenomena. Extreme or powerful emotion or expression, the violence of their tirades. If she's using that example, I suppose you can call it violence. But I think the word violence then is just getting so misused here. How is it violent to express yourself, to use your freedom of speech to express yourself on X or any other platform? How is it violence? Now, look, granted, I haven't read through every response to this Dylan Mulvaney thing with Lady Gaga. Maybe there were some really disgusting things. But backlash and violence are two different things, and speech is not violence. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me. Speech is not violence. I don't know why that's difficult to get our heads around. So she says this kind of hatred is violence. Quote unquote backlash would imply that people who love or respect Dylan and me didn't like something we did. This is not backlash. This is hatred. Okay, hatred. That's fine. Again, she's conflating backlash, hatred, and violence. Violence endangers people. And I'm just not, I think that we've gotten to the point where we're trying to shut people up. So we accuse them of being violent when in fact they're just using their words. It's free speech. If you don't like it, you don't have to listen to it. Really. She goes on, Lady Gaga, but it is not surprising given the immense work that it's obvious we still have to do as a society to make room for transgender lives to be cherished and upheld by all of us. I think transgender lives can be cherished and upheld, and there's certainly room. It's the option of celebrating on International Women's Day. When they say trans women are real women, no, they're not. The fact that you have to utter that statement kind of proves the point. If you have to argue that, it's like saying trans men are real men. No, they're humans who were born with the chromosomes of a female, were born biologically female, but who have decided to identify as men. That does not make them real men. They can't produce sperm. Not yet anyway, but if we keep up with all the gender affirming care, maybe someday. I'm not sure what the point of that would be, but okay. I feel very protective in this moment, not only of Dylan, but of the trans community who continues to lead the way with their endless grace and inspiration in the face of constant degradation, intolerance, and physical, verbal, and mental violence. Okay, again, physical is violence. I don't, verbal violence, that, this is the same way that people use that phrase, silence is violence. No, it's not. Silence is saying, I choose not to participate in this conversation. Okay, she goes on. I certainly do not speak for this community, but I have something to say. I hope all women will come together to honor us all for International Women's Day, and may we do that always until the day that all women are celebrated equally. But see, that all people are celebrated equally. See, that's the thing. If you want all people to be celebrated equally, then do away with International Women's Day. Do away with these women's history. If all people are to be treated equally, then we don't point out the accidentals, the immutable characteristics that are not, they didn't choose. Now, in the case of Dylan Mulvaney, that person chose to identify as a woman. I didn't choose to be born a woman. I'm fine with it. But anyone thinks they have a choice in the womb, they're sadly mistaken. It's not a choice to be born male or female, black or white, Asian or Hispanic, whatever thing you want to identify. The identity politics are not about treating people equally. They're about slicing and dicing us into groups so that we can decide who's the most oppressed, who's the most marginalized, who's the most abused, and have these victimhood Olympics. Just as we don't treat all athletes equally, because guess what? There's only one gold, there's only one silver, there's only one bronze medal on the podium. And the person with the fastest time in the pool, or the fastest time on the track, or the best performance on the beam, they win based on their merit. Nothing else. So we don't treat people equally when they compete. Lady Gaga, do you think that every female vocalist out there is as talented as you, has achieved as much as you? Do you want to treat them all equally, give them all record deals, give them all roles in movies? Do you want to do that? Then find a way to do that on your own. That's your prerogative. But treating people equally doesn't mean treating certain people more gingerly than others. Now, certainly there are people in this society who need help. People who have physical handicaps, mental handicaps, people who need our support. I don't know that choosing to identify as one thing or another makes you in need of our support. Now, you don't need our hatred, and I don't hate anyone for that. But again, this is the time and place that Lady Gaga chose to celebrate Dylan Mulvaney was International Women's Day. So men and women alike disagreed with that. I don't think that's violence. I'm going to keep reading from her now. That all people are celebrated equally. A day where people of all gender identities are celebrated on whichever holiday speaks to them. Celebrate every day, for God's sake. Celebrate every day you're alive. Do we need to have a holiday, and does everybody on earth need to stop and say, okay, it's International Women's Day. Let's honor all trans women, all women who identify as women, all biological females, all gosh, let's not leave anyone out. That is compelling people to believe something you believe, but maybe they don't. So no one has to celebrate any holiday. Because people of all gender identities and races deserve peace and dignity. Agreed. Peace and dignity. May we all come together and be loving, accepting, warm, welcoming. May we all stand and honor the complexity and challenge of trans life that we do not know, but can seek to understand and have compassion for. I love people too much to allow hatred to be referred to as backlash. People deserve better. I think what people get confused by, we are happy to love and support or just be tolerant of everyone. But I think people are entitled to their opinions about this. And that does not make them hateful people. Some of them, Yep. Some of them are hateful. There is no question there is hatred out there. And the day that you get rid of all hatred in the world, I don't think anyone's going to be alive to see that, because evil is a constant. It exists. And no one has succeeded in eradicating the world of evil. And evil leads to hatred. So that's going to be there. The options are, do you succumb to it? How do you deal with it? How do you look at it with your own mind? So, are there evil people out there probably directing hatred toward Dylan Mulvaney and Lady Gaga? Yes. Does that equal violence? In my opinion, the word violence is being twisted in a way that is maybe intentional to get us all to just shut up. John Berg, you have something to say?
Yeah, if you're really worried about Dylan Mulvaney, would you have posted a thing on social media and drawn all this attention to him in the first place? It's kind of an inevitability that that's going to be a lightning rod for criticism and all sorts of people to come out of the woodwork to say all sorts of stuff about Dylan. So is she really thinking that far in advance here when she went and took the photo and posted it, if she was really that concerned?
She was making an ideological statement. You're correct.
I mean, she walked right into this, like a door swinging back and forth. She walked right into it, knowing exactly what was going to happen. So the outrage, give me a break,
It's a point worth listening to, that when you make these ideological statements, very often you should do the second level thinking and say, how are people going to react? And if she saw the reaction to Bud Light using Dylan Mulvaney, maybe she does. Now, look, in general, I don't have a problem with Lady Gaga supporting Dylan Mulvaney. I don't care about that. The point was, you made the post in celebration of International Women's Day. And so every biological woman out there who has had to deal with all of the stuff that comes along with being a woman, including now having biological men take our spots in competition, having biological men taking places in our locker rooms, in our prisons, those spaces that really are supposed to protect women. I mean, why do we have women's prisons and men's prisons if men can go to women's prisons? And you're going to tell me that someone can identify as a woman, that makes them a woman? No, it doesn't. It does not. It makes them a biological man identifying as a woman. Right, John?
This is the no prisons crowd. Keep that in mind. No prisons.
Oh,
they don't want any. Men's and women's prisons equally an injustice.
That's a very good point. We're not supposed to have prisoners at all, which is why we're so safe here in the cities and streets of America these days. Anyway, that's a whole nother issue. But again, we have these divisions, women's sports, men's sports, for a reason. Not to accommodate men who have decided, I think I'll compete as a woman instead. Even if they completely identify as a woman, it's unfair. And you want to treat all people equally? There's a reason Title IX exists. So, if you want to just say treat all people equally, then let's just throw everyone in the Olympic swimming pool and see who wins. And trust me, it's going to be a man every time, a biological male every time. Even the great Katie Ledecky can't beat Michael Phelps. Okay? So we're getting so hung up on the ideology of this and support the trend. I feel no hatred toward Dylan Mulvaney at all. In fact, I'd love to interview Dylan Mulvaney. I doubt I'll get that chance, but you know what? I'm going to try. I would love to. I'd love to talk to Dylan Mulvaney. And I wouldn't throw shade. I'd really have some honest questions. And so there's no hatred. But what you've said, Lady Gaga, is on this International Women's Day, where So many women are doing so many important things, incredible things, giving birth, nursing children, battling through hormonal crap, that you're going to celebrate a trans woman. That's where people have the problem. It's like celebrating women on Father's Day. That's why some of these holidays, good God, whatever. I hate to sound so bitter, but this is what I don't. Okay. And I'm going to move on to one other topic. We'll finish with this. Kate Middleton. Why do people hate her so much? Speaking of hatred, talk about vitriol and hatred. I'm not going to say violence. I'm not going to say violence. But she had this abdominal surgery. The last time she was seen in public, really out at an appearance, was Christmas of 2023. Here we are. It's, we're in March of 2024. She had this planned abdominal surgery. Nobody really knows what it is. It kind of makes you wish that the palace would just come out and say exactly what it was. But she has not been in public. Then you see a sighting of her in a car. She's wearing sunglasses. Fine, whatever. Then she puts out a photograph on Mother's Day in the UK with her children. It turns out the photograph is doctored. She apologizes. She admits to editing photos a little bit here and there. Okay. This is being treated like some sort of international crime. You don't think people doctor photos? Oh my gosh. Oh gosh. You think all photos are just realistic representations? Oh my goodness. So now people are, and the suggestions that people are, oh, she got a Brazilian butt lift. Who the hell cares? I don't know that that's true or not true, but who the hell, quite frankly, she's sort of the last person who would need that.
God, I hope so.
She's, Jonathan, a sexist would say, you know what? It's really none of our business what medical procedure she's had done. I think because she is a public figure, it is our business if she's okay or not. And she tried to present herself as okay with her kids around her. And the editing went bad. So yeah, okay, so you feel you're being lied to. Look at any photo of any celebrity with their headshots. Those are some of the most doctored photos on the planet. Not everyone, because lots of women are just naturally perfectly beautiful. But trust me when I tell you that when you have to take a professional headshot, you really love the airbrush system. Is it an honest representation? It's a flattering representation. So I just don't understand why this has become such a big deal and why there is so much like anti-Kate Middleton stuff out there. This is, I mean, people complaining about the anti-Dylan Mulvaney. I don't know what Kate Middleton has done to deserve such wrath. But you know what? On the other side of the coin, people will probably say, well, she's rich, she's wealthy, she's got everything handed to her. She's royalty. Why isn't she telling us the truth? Okay, fine, whatever. I don't get it. I think she's a lovely person, stunningly beautiful, wears clothes better than most models, and she does good things. And she's given birth to 3 children. So I'm just not sure why everyone's so hung up on this, but I would like to know that she's okay. I would like to know that she's healthy, that she's safe, that she's healthy. I think we all would like to know that. Abdominal surgery is really vague. So it's like when I covered the NFL and you'd see someone just collapse on the field and you saw them looking at his right knee and they were doing stability tests and you'd say, what's the injury? It's a lower body injury. Okay, I saw them looking at his right knee. Can we just say right knee? It's a lower body, a leg injury. Okay, so this abdominal surgery does leave a lot of mystery. I get it. But the accusations of what she might have done to herself, I whatever. I doubt it's gender affirming care. Folks, we're an upside down world. I can't explain it. I feel like the world is just broken. I feel like we should just unplug it and reboot. Unplug, count for 10 seconds, plug it back in, and see if we can get back to some normal situation. I don't know when it's going to happen. So I will say this, be brave, stand on your own values and your own integrity and your convictions. That doesn't mean go out and act upon them in some inappropriate way. Just know that you have them and be brave enough to just know that you have them and that they're yours and you own them, and you'll act accordingly in a way that doesn't hurt anybody else. And do good. Just little tiny things. I say this every single time, but smiling at the person checking you out at the grocery store. I mean, checking you through the register. Thanking someone whom you don't really need to thank, but maybe they opened the door for you. Maybe they sold you stamps, whatever. Say thank you, smile at them, look them in the eye. Clean up someone else's dog crap at the dog park that you see. Just do a little bit of good. It'll send an amazing ripple through the cosmos that you won't even be able to see, but that could be felt in days and days and days to come. Be brave, do good. We'll see you next time.
Mr. President, this is my 221st day of publicly transitioning.
God love you.
Thank you. I am extremely privileged to live in a state that allows me access to the resources I need, and that decision is just between me and my doctors. But many states have lawmakers that feel like they can involve themselves in this very personal process. Do you think states should have a right to ban gender-affirming health care?
I don't think any state or anybody should have the right to do that.